What's up, family? Welcome back to the channel. Um, I think I say this a lot, but I'm gonna say it again. Today is gonna be a different kind of conversation. And this is one that I wanted to talk about for a little bit, and I just didn't know how I wanted to approach it. But I have put some notes together, and I think I'm ready to engage this topic and share my thoughts on it. So today we're talking about Terrance Howard and other people like him and the impact um, that these types of people tend to have on the black community, at least from my perspective. And again, I'm not a prototype. I'm not representative of every black person ever. These are just things that this is the way that I see it. This is the way that I understand it. And it's a major reason why I share content on the channel. Now, I will advise you that this one may be a little long. I don't know because I've pulled together quite a bit of notes. So before we jump into this, I do want to make sure that I remind you, if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Um, Consider joining our community either through YouTube, Patreon, Discord. Consider volunteering in our community. And check out our merch. We have some of the dopest merch in the game. I'm going to say it every time. All right. I think I've said enough. I think we can kind of jump into this. So we're going to start a little bit with this conversation, and ultimately, what I want to kind of highlight here are some things that I kind of consider the dangers of Terrance Howard and people like him on the black community. And of course, it's not just isolated to the black community. This is dangerous for everybody. But this is a community that I can somewhat speak to. The biggest issue is that Terrance Howard is not an isolated actor. He's not an isolated agent here. Um, let's give a little context for those of you who may not know. Terrence Howard is a prominent figure in the entertainment industry. He was in the first Iron Man movie. He was in Crash. He was in Empire, which is actually one of the roles that my family loved him the most in. He was also in some early movies he was in the movie about the Jackson Five. He was in Pride. He's been in a lot of stuff, and it, to his credit, is a phenomenal actor. He's actually someone who has had a great impact on my life as an actor, including my voice, which I have another video about that that'll be coming out. But he's recently gained attention for promoting ideas that are ultimately not scientifically validated. And this trend is not unique to him, but reflects a broader issue within certain segments of the black community. And again, I know these things are not isolated to the black community, i.e., MAGA. you know. But this is the perspective I want to take. This phenomenon is also evident in the influence of figures like Umar Johnson, Billy Carson, the Wall Street Trapper, Ray Hagans, and even Myron Golden. Each of these individuals has a significant following and promotes various forms of pseudo-scientific or pseudo-intellectual ideas. Now, just for those of you who need a little more clarification, pseudoscience are any claims that lack empirical support and are not recognized by the scientific community. But just to keep it clear, they lack empirical support. The other part isn't even necessary. All right. Examples include alternative medicine, conspiracy theories about suppressed technologies, economic systems, and unproven health treatments. Pseudo intellectualism asserts that are assertions that appear scholarly but lack a basis in rigorous academic research. These often involve convoluted theories that cannot be empirically tested or validated. So let's take a look at some of Terrance Howard's claims that fall into these categories. The first one is probably the most popular one, is his false mathematical claim that Howard promotes the idea that 1 times 1 equals 2, which contradicts basic mathematical principles. Now, this one, oh my goodness. My children and I had this conversation a few years ago, not about this particular topic, but I had a conversation with one of my cousins where he was trying to convince me of something. And the words he used was, think about it. And I taught my kids after that is anytime somebody says think about it, actually think about it. Actually think about it. And unfortunately here, Because I've actually heard this argument before. This argument predates Terry, and it's ultimately a linguistic issue. It's a person who does not understands that one times one is not you adding something to one. A better way of saying one times one is one time. One times two would be one two times. One times three would be one three times. This is a very elementary principle that somehow Terry overlooked. Howard has also claimed that traditional geometry and the concepts of pi are incorrect, suggesting alternative calculations that do not align with established mathematics. This claim is fundamentally incorrect according to established mathematical laws. Mathematics is based on logical consistency and empirical evidence, both of which contradicts Howard's assertions. The thing that I often ask people when it comes to claims like this is, what is the utility of the claim? How has the claim been verified? And in terms, when it comes to math and physics, what can be demonstrated or built with this understanding? Which takes us back to the first question I asked: what is the utility of the claim? This is often how many of my friends are often kind of ensnared by these ideologies, because they never ask themselves, what is the utility of this information? How does this information actually help me? How does it actually move me forward? What can I do with this information? Outside of actually engaging the conversation that way, it's not a conversation, nor is it education. It's just mental masturbation, to be clear. This is obviously dangerous because spreading false mathematical concepts undermines education, causing confusion and misinformation among students. It hampers the intellectual development of individuals who might accept and do accept these incorrect ideas as truth, potentially leading to a wider spread of mathematical illiteracy in the community. Terrance also has conspiracy theories about hidden knowledge, which is very popular and rampant and widespread in my community. Howard suggests that there is hidden knowledge and conspiracies that are being kept from the public. Now, obviously, this isn't unique to the black community. Anybody who believes in conspiracy theories obviously believes in hidden knowledge. But these claims often lack credible evidence. You know, that's kind of makes that's the conspiracy part, and are based on anecdotal or speculative information. And I want to highlight one of the reasons the black community is as susceptible to this type of information, because that is our entire experience with church. And mind you, church is not just a place we go. Church is a place that we believe is the most important place in the world. We believe that the most important character in the world, that this is his house, all right? And that this most important character in the world created the whole world, understands the whole world, operates the whole world. Yet our entire relationship with this character is not based on any evidence or empirical support. It is based on anecdotes and speculation. Therefore, if that is your relationship with the thing that you prioritize more than everything else, then you have now validated that as a way of learning. So now in your worldview, and I'm not sharing my opinions here, man. These are facts. If you can build your entire worldview around anecdote as evidence or speculation as evidence, because that's your relationship with your God, which you consider the creator and the knower of all things, then you have changed what it means to know. You have changed what it means to understand. And so when you have a community that's all anecdotes, please. Oh my goodness. When you have a community that treats anecdotes as truth, then all it takes is for someone to have a soundbite that sounds right. That's it's not just scary. This is a reality. And I can't I can't lie. This is one that bothers me to my core, because I constantly watch people make excuses for this type of stuff. And the only reason I can think that they make excuses for this type of stuff is because they are not acclimated to the harm that it causes. I have friends that literally 30 years from now will be in the same predicament they are in now, because they are caught up in a variety of misinformation and magical thinking. I'm sorry. Conspiracy theories foster a culture of mistrust and paranoia. They divert attention from real issues and solutions, leading to a fragmented community that is less likely to engage with legitimate scientific and educational resources. That should have sound damn near descriptive. We need to understand why claims like these are dangerous for the African American community in any community. False claims about basic principles like mathematics can disrupt the educational foundation of young people. When the community embraces incorrect information, it can lead to widespread educational deficiencies. Misinformation in education has been shown to have long term negative impacts on student performance and understanding of essential concepts. Promoting unscientific theories and conspiracy claims also erodes trust in scientific and academic institutions, because then they must be in on the conspiracy. This distrust can discourage community members from valuing and pursuing higher education and scientific careers. And let me speak to you as a person who is on the front lines. It has. It has. A community like mine that can absolutely benefit from more education is becoming increasingly anti-education, and people don't really seem to be sounding the flag, sounding the alarm. Studies show that trust in science is crucial for community development and individual progress. Lack of trust can result in lower educational attainment and reduced engagement with beneficial scientific advancements. I'm hoping that you see that I'm not highlighting a new issue here. I'm giving you insight into what has happened in my community and others like it. A community that embraces pseudoscience and conspiracy theories is at risk of being misinformed. We need to think about that. This misinformation leads to poor decision making in various aspects of life, including health, education, and civic engagement. Conspiracy theories are never just about the conspiracy. Conspiracy theories are about what you believe about the world around you. Communities that prioritize empirical evidence and critical thinking tend to have better health outcomes, higher educational success, and more robust civic participation. This cannot be overstated and must be considered that the high states of religiosity and superstitions of communities has an undeniable correlation to poverty and healthcare deficiency. Conspiracy theories and pseudoscience diverts attention from real solvable issues. Instead of focusing on tangible improvements and practical solutions, time and resources are wasted on chasing the latest rabbit. This goes back to the utility question that I posed earlier. Effective community development relies on addressing real issues with practical solutions. Misdirection hinders progress and creates unnecessary conflicts within the community. But again, as I've stated, Terrance Howard is not the only problem. He's just the newest one. He's the newest person. And the truth is, I don't even want to say Terrance is the problem. Terrance is just as deceived as the people he's deceiving. These are delusions of grandeur, which often happen when there is not any type of academic rigor involved in your pursuit or approach. When the only thing you need for something to be true is that it feels true, that it sounds true, then you're admitting that you don't actually know how to know. And you don't even know that that's what you're admitting. And I'm telling you, this is a bigger problem than what we like to admit. And I say problem, and perhaps I'm being a little too harsh with the word problem, because it's more than just a problem. It's our reality, and it's not our new reality. So far, and I could be wrong about this, but so far, I believe the default position of most human beings is superstition. It is magical thinking. You actually have to do the work for that not to be your default position, because superstition is nothing but a shortcut to understanding, which is why it often leads to the wrong understanding, because you took a shortcut to get there. One thing I've learned about shortcuts is the reason why they're not helpful is because the information you needed to learn, you now do not learn, which will lead you to saying stuff such as 1 times 1 actually equals 2. Okay. But again, Terrance is not alone in such claims like this. There is a long list of people, and I like to highlight a few of those. The first one on my list today is Umar Johnson. Umar is not a Christian, not religious by any stretch of the imagination. Neither is Terrance Howard that I know of, but he's definitely responsible for sharing a lot of harmful and sometimes untrue claims. Most of the time untrue. So I want to start with Umar's first claim. If you haven't looked him up, go look him up. Umar typically does this thing talking about the misdiagnosis of ADHD in Black children. And of course, I'm not saying that this never happens. What I am saying is he's not shown any evidence for this happening. This encourages parents to distrust medical professionals, potentially leading to untreated or improperly managed ADHD, which can hinder a child's educational and social development. And I have to highlight this for several reasons. Okay, we have a lot of mental health issues in this country. One of the things is we say people cannot afford their mental health medication. And in many cases, that is absolutely true. But there are other cases that are absolutely exasperated by people like Umar Johnson, where people are forsaking their medication even when they can afford them because of this pseudoscience and pseudo-intellectual ideologies that are running rampant. Wanted to highlight that. He also has conspiracies about psychological and educational systems targeting Black youth. And of course, this fosters paranoia and mistrust towards educational and psychological institutions, preventing children from receiving necessary support and interventions, ultimately impacting their academic and personal growth. He has a plethora of unsupported theories about vaccines and autism. He promotes vaccine hesitancy, leading to lower vaccination rates and increased vulnerability to preventable diseases within the community. And again, these are things that I always like to ask people, what are the utility of these claims? If a person is making this claim that your children are being improperly diagnosed and that psychological and educational institutions are targeting your children and that these vaccines are causing autism, the claim just sounds like sensationalism to me because it's incomplete. A complete thought would be, hey, people are misdiagnosing our children with ADHD. We need to make sure that we're empowering more of our people to actually be physicians so that we can do the diagnosis ourselves. That's utility. Stating a problem without identifying a solution, just in my opinion, is a red flag. I'm sorry. It's just me. That's just me. But it doesn't stop there. Umar has more. Umar claims to be a certified school psychologist. This claim has not been verified. He misleads the public about his qualifications, which can result in people taking his advice over that of certified professionals, potentially leading to harmful decisions regarding education and mental health. He also claims to hold a doctorate in clinical psychology. This has not been verified. This claim undermines the credibility of legitimate professionals and misguides people into trusting his unverified and potentially harmful advice. The thing that I often remind people is, whose responsibility is it to verify it? Yours. Ours. But what I'm trying to highlight is that many parts of my community, as many parts of others' communities as well, are susceptible to this type of misinformation because they do not carry the responsibility to verify. He also claims to be involved in to have been involved in building multiple schools, and just yikes on that one, because one of his biggest scams, if I can say, has been fundraising for a school that has not materialized, and that fundraising has been taking place for over 10 years. He raised significant amounts of money from the Black community for a school that is yet to be built. He sells unaccredited diplomas and certifications. This exploits individuals seeking educational advancement by selling them worthless diplomas, wasting their time and money, and potentially harming their career prospects. And then, of course, like many others, he also charges high fees for events and consultations. And again, I'd go back to that utility question. But Umar Johnson is not the only one. There is another. Maybe you've heard of him, the Wall Street Trapper. He makes claims such as the financial system is rigged against the black community. And yes, while there are genuine systemic barriers, exaggerating these claims can foster paranoia and mistrust towards financial institutions. This can discourage individuals from engaging with beneficial financial opportunities and lead to financial stagnation or regression within the community. He claims to guarantee high returns on investments. For those of you who don't understand what the Wall Street Trapper does, he teaches black folk how to invest in the stock market. He misleads individuals into believing in guaranteed high returns, and of course, this leads to risky financial behaviors and significant financial losses. This results in disillusionment and skepticism towards legitimate financial advice and opportunities. He often gives simplified financial advice without context, without considering individual circumstances, which of course is going to lead people to make poor financial decisions. He often inflates his personal investment returns, misrepresenting his success, which creates unrealistic expectations for followers. Now, none of this stuff should be shocking because this is stuff that's like taken directly out of the snake oil salesman rule book. And I am honestly in awe at how many people who don't realize that they're being taken. Yikes. You know? He has, of course, exaggerated success stories of clients because that's like rule number 2 in the book. The moment you know that your target audience are people who will not verify the information, you can you can have as many outlandish claims as you want because nobody's going to verify it. They're just going to believe it. And this is happening. Like, I'm not mentioning these people just because, I've went through YouTube looking for the latest scam artists. I'm mentioning these people because I know very real people who are currently losing money, wasting time, and engaging themselves in this. This is reality. Because we want to say, like, who would believe this? Who would follow people like this? MAGA? Like, I think we have to stop asking those questions. I think we have to stop saying what nobody would fall for that. And I think we have to start realizing that yes, the majority would. I think sometimes we've overstated our success as a species. And I think we need to understand that there are people out there who are vulnerable. Okay? They're vulnerable. And of course, there's always this claim. I think everybody has this one. There's a claim of insider knowledge or special access. You know, he charges high fees for financial courses with an obvious dubious value. He promotes unverified investment opportunities that people often fall for because the thing is, he's going to tell people, listen, nobody else is going to tell you. I'm the only person who knows this. If you pay me $1,500 for this course, I'm going to show you how to invest $500 into this. And if you trust me, within 15 years, you're going to be a millionaire. And of course, he has been caught over and over again providing inaccurate financial information. But when you are dealing with people who don't verify information from the people that they're getting the information from, or that don't feel that they need to verify the information, which is one of the reasons you have noticed I am absolutely against you getting information from me. There's nothing wrong with you hearing me say something and thinking, that could be true. But it is absolutely irresponsible for you to hear me say something and say, that is true. Trusting me is one thing, but you still need to verify. And that's something we need to, like, I don't know, it's just big for me. Maybe this is a pet peeve for me. I don't know. But yeah. But then there's it's not just Terrance, it's not just Umar, it's not just whoever the hell I just got finished talking about, Wall Street Trapper. There's also Billy Carson, who some of you are familiar with, who has a whole bunch of ancient alien theories. And these theories suggest that ancient aliens were influenced or created by extraterrestrial beings, that ancient civilization, rather, undermining the achievements of historical cultures and spreading pseudoscience. This distorts historical understanding and promotes a belief in unverified and fantastical explanations over scholarly research. He often claims that hidden technologies have been suppressed by modern science, which just yikes. And a lot of this stuff stems from the need for a victim, or the need for a villain, rather, that somebody is hiding something from me, that there is a villain that is trying to keep me from the information I need. He promotes the idea that advanced technologies and knowledge have been deliberately hidden by the scientific community, the villain. This fosters a mistrust of scientific institutions and discourages engagement with mainstream scientific education and research, potentially leading individuals to reject valid scientific advancements and advice, or even worse than that, just come up with brand new scientific advancements that haven't been verified, i.e., teriology. Look it up, Terrance Howard. He also claims that there is an existence of suppressed healing methods. Um, he claims that he has credentials and expertise in ancient civilizations. One of his most disingenuous claims is that he is MIT trained in neuroscience and Harvard trained in ancient civilizations. Okay, now, the reason I say that this is disingenuous is because you can actually look this up. By the way, his name actually isn't his name either, but that's a whole nother other thing. And that's how easy it is to verify this stuff. But he never enrolled in MIT or Harvard. He took an online course and didn't even finish it. He has, again, not an online program, not a degree program. He took one neuroscience course, one ancient civilization course, and there is no record that he completed either of the courses. And even if he did, one course does not make an expert. Otherwise, I'm the most expert motherfucker out of everybody. Check my resume. Right? Okay. But yeah, so he claims to have these credentials. He claims that there have been numerous scientific discoveries that have been suppressed by mainstream institutions. He claims that there have been extraterrestrial influences on human history. He sells expensive courses and books on pseudosciences, often charging often charging high prices for courses that propagate unverified ideas. He promotes unverified healing methods, which you kind of now see seems to be a theme among some of these. But it doesn't stop there. Okay? There's another one. Ray Hagins. Ray Higgins claims that mainstream history and religion have hidden the truth about African origins. And I want to say there's some truth to that, but you have to be careful with that. And this is something that's probably going to make people upset with me about, but it is what it is. Mainstream history and religion have hidden the truth about African origins. I need you to understand the disingenuousness of such statements like this. Okay? Um, what the fuck is mainstream history? Okay, do you understand that? Like, mainstream history? Do you think China is teaching American mainstream history? Come on, I want you to think about this shit. There is no such thing as mainstream history. All right? Mainstream religion? Okay. So let me help you here. Let me help you bring a little nuance to your thinking. History changes with whoever is the object of history. Okay? So, Ray Higgins is an African American. His claim is that American history has hidden the truth about African origins. This is disingenuous because American history would have no investment in African origins, nor would it be in the best position to give the information about African origins. And so, no, just because something has not been the platform of a specific of specific information does not mean that thing is hiding that information. It doesn't have that information. Why would you think that American history would be informed about African origins? What the fuck? Again, but the same mistake there is made with religion. So now mainstream religion has hidden the truth about African origins. What religion exists to tell of the origins of any continent? So it's oftentimes, and I'm sorry I took so long to just kind of walk through that one, but it's these dog whistle tricks that keep being used. And it's high time that we start critically engaging what people are saying, man. But this claim suggests that established historical and religious institutions are deliberately concealing the true origins and contributions of African civilizations. I get just as upset about this when people say, American schools don't teach Black history. I get upset about this claim. And I know this is going to be a little controversial, but it's my channel. I'm going to say what I want to say. I have a problem with this particular statement. Because I'm like, how the fuck do you expect Americans, America, people didn't even see you as human, to have a good understanding of your history? I don't want America teaching Black history. What the fuck? No, they suck at it. They suck at it. And the truth of the matter is, American schools do teach Black history, but they don't have the best viewpoint on it. It's putting the cart before the horse. It's identifying a problem but not properly working the solution. The problem is that Black people need to understand their history. They need to have, need is a weird word there, but that Black people, we deserve to know our history just like anybody else. But then to expect somebody who has no connection to your history to teach you your history is the weirdest shit to me ever. That's just me. It's just me. I'm not saying you have to agree. I already know this is a controversial take. But obviously this fosters a sense of distrust and alienation from credible historical research. Another claim that Ray Higgins makes is that ancient Egyptian spirituality is the true religion. This is also a disingenuous claim, and it absolutely blows my mind that skeptics and atheists follow this guy. Ancient Egyptian spirituality, true religion, skeptics and atheists? Hello. Hagen promotes the idea that ancient Egyptian spirituality is the original and true religion, dismissing other religious traditions. This can create division and conflict within the community, as it implies that other spiritual beliefs are less valid or important. Now, Ray Higgins is a former Christian pastor. I don't see how anything he's doing now is any different than the same superstition he was involved in before. Higgins often uses pseudoscientific language to explain spiritual and historical concepts, which can mislead people into believing they are engaging with legitimate science. He claims to debunk pseudoscience while actually promoting pseudoscience. He often misrepresents historical events and figures, and he has several unsupported theories about hidden knowledge. Are you recognizing a theme yet? That the one thing that all of these people have in common so far is that somebody is hiding knowledge from you. I don't know if you can tell, but it's almost aggravating me to talk about this. I'm literally almost regretting doing this video. Partly because I'm concerned that some people still won't get it. And I'm concerned that some people will nitpick at some of the more controversial things I've said instead of actually realizing that, holy shit, we have a real problem here. Ray, just like Billy Carson, promotes the idea that hidden knowledge is only accessible through special revelation or insight. Ray Hagen sells expensive seminars and lectures on pseudoscience. He charges high fees for these. He also promotes and sells unverified healing products, something else that seems to be a common thread. But I want to highlight one more. And I want to highlight this one because he may not stand out as obvious as within the same ranks as these other ones. Myron Golden. Let's look at a few of Myron's claims. And just to be clear, Myron Golden is probably the most insidious out of all of these because it looks like gold. It even glitters like gold. But Myron is the type that I'm most familiar with because he looks no different than the type of preachers that have been my colleagues. But I want to express that while I have made this video about the Black community, much of these thoughts do not originate within the Black community. A lot of these superstitious thoughts are some that are carried on in other communities and are just as just as prevalent, because some of this stuff comes from like Napoleon Hill type stuff, which I'm not against Napoleon Hill, but superstition by any other name is still superstition. It's positive thinking ideology that if I think positive thoughts, it's like, click your heels and you'll go back home to Kansas type of stuff. But the reason I do highlight these things for the Black community is because other communities are not as crippled by these things because they have an economic foundation. And so it's easier for them to get scammed and still survived. My community, bless his heart, does not have an economic foundation. Unfortunately, for over 200 years, we've tried. I use that word loosely. But we don't have an economic foundation, which is why these things are much more detrimental to our communities. And Myron is right there with him. So let me give you a few of Myron's claims, and then we'll kind of wrap this up. Financial prosperity through faith. Hello. Myron Golden promotes the idea that strong faith and religious adherence can lead to financial prosperity. And I've called this out in the secular community, that the secular community seems to be very vocal against prosperity preachers, but not vocal against motivational speakers who are spewing the same nonsense. If we're going to be upset about something, let's be upset about it in good faith and not just picking on one class of people. If something is wrong when one group of people do it, it's wrong when other group of people do it too. All right? I don't understand it. That's just me. That's just me. Here it is. Miraculous healing through spiritual means. Are y'all seeing the themes? I'm not making this shit up. He encourages belief in miraculous healing through faith. Success without traditional education. Suggests that individuals can achieve significant success without traditional education, which can discourage people from pursuing formal education and developing essential skills. I want to debunk this myth very, very clearly. There is no success outside of education. Please do not confuse. This is the disingenuousness of these claims. Do not confuse the word degree with education. Do not confuse college with education. Whether you go to college or not, you will need to educate yourself to be successful. Whether you get a degree or not, you will need to educate yourself to be successful. Education is a process of acquiring information. There is no way to be successful without acquiring the right information. Oh my goodness. But this is a common claim in my community, and it's very disingenuous. I have friends who say stuff like, I wasn't made for college. Who the fuck was made for college? Who the fuck was made? But it comes from people like this. Myron claims guaranteed financial success through his programs, that if you take his program, you're guaranteed you're going to be financially wealthy. He often misinterprets or misrepresents his own personal wealth and success. He exaggerates his finances and the effectiveness of his method. Again, snake oil salesman rule number one. And he also claims to have a unique access to wealth secrets. He has secret knowledge about wealth creation that's not available elsewhere. Ooh. I think a lot of us got the wrong moral from the story Jack and the Beanstalk. Because there ended up being a golden goose in that story. We think that I know way too many people who are getting rid of their beans to get a golden goose because they believe somebody else has this secret out there. He sells expensive financial programs with unverified success rates. He promotes unverified healing methods. Have you seen this? Do you see the trend? Okay. And hosting high price seminars and conferences. Are you seeing the trends? The trend so far is there's hidden knowledge. The trend so far is there is secret knowledge. And the trends, hidden knowledge. There is a way to heal you. And if you pay me a lot of money, I can make it happen. Every single one of these people, with the exception of Terrance Howard, are making those claims. And so, yes, while I 100% agree that what Terrance Howard is doing is absolutely irresponsible, and the ideas that he's promoting are harmful to our community, I want you to understand that he is the least of our worries. Because he is not selling his ideas. He is not trying to scam anybody. In this case, I believe Terrance may actually believe his own hype. But these others out here, they are running roughshod through my community. And they are taking our money. They are taking our time. They're taking our resources. Okay. Just wanted y'all to see some of these things. I know this one has been very different, but I had to talk about this. The root causes of these vulnerabilities are really three things, and that's a belief that knowledge has been withheld. I often try to remind people that having a teacher is having teachers are the training wheels. That's not the bike. Your default position in life shouldn't be, I need someone to teach me. It's very helpful to have those training wheels. It's very helpful to be able to go into cruise control every now and then. It is helpful, but it is not beneficial in the long term. You have to take the training wheels off. Once you take the training wheels off, you will realize that there is no such thing as hidden knowledge. There's only knowledge you have not sought. I had a friend, and the friend I'm thinking about is one who follows at least three of the people that I've mentioned here. And he once proposed a quandary to me and said, Darante, Why are we spending so much money going to space when we haven't even explored the oceans yet? My first question to him was, who the fuck is we? You see that? Do you see how I did that? Do you see how quickly I undermined his entire thought? We have to be more critically engaging. I said, who is we? Are you spending money exploring space? No. So your statement fails. But it's a popular statement in my community. But I showed him the disingenuousness because I told him, you're not involved in either. You're not involved in exploring space, nor are you involved in exploring the ocean. But yet you tried to make this argument that we're doing one without the other, and you're doing neither. And the problem, or even more problematic, is that a quick Google search would have showed you that yes, we are exploring the ocean. Yeah, the ignorance is agitating to me because we treat ignorance as if it's just a personal choice. It's not a personal choice. It's the condemnation of your children and your children's children. And I speak from experience. Like my like there are several people in my life that my heart is absolutely broken over. Well, I probably should say figuratively broken. But my heart is figuratively broken because I'm watching them live beneath their capacity, following superstitions as such that such people like this just spew regularly. And I have some other thoughts too, but I'm gonna wrap this up. Um, so there's just this belief that knowledge is hidden, or there's this belief that knowledge is secretly encoded, or there's this belief that knowledge is controversial. These are, from what I've seen, are the three root causes of people being susceptible to the foolery that I just walked through. Is that there are people in my community sincerely believe that someone is hiding knowledge from them. And there are also people in my community who sincerely believe that they can't understand the knowledge, that knowledge has to be secretly encoded. And then there are people in my community believe that any true knowledge is actual controversial. I want to help us learn how to recognize an attack on education when we see it. And for me, every single person I've listed is doing just that. If we can start recognizing when someone is attacking education, when someone is attacking learning, when someone is attacking knowing how to know, I'd be willing to bet that it's a safe assumption that a person attacking education is a person who is trying to steal from you. We need to encourage a culture of critical thinking where all claims, especially those that seem sensational or too good to be true, are critically evaluated based on evidence and logical reasoning. But I guess the real reason I wanted to share this is because I'm sure that many of the information that I've said here is stuff that you could easily recognize is like, oh no, that's bullshit. I want you to realize that a major part, a significant part of the human population cannot do that. That should be terrifying. But let's not just sit and stew in our terror. Let's ask ourselves, what do we need to be doing? What can we do to help people learn how to verify information? If you have some time, go look up these gentlemen. You may come away from them with a different thought than I do. Especially Myron. You may look at Myron and say, oh no, Myron is all good, man. You may look at Wall Street Trapper and say, oh no, I enjoy the work that he's doing. I'd be surprised if that's what happened, but seriously, go check them out. Go see how many people follow them. Go see how many people are in the comments. And then I want you to understand that I didn't single these gentlemen out for any specific reason. I can literally pull up YouTube and just scroll through and pick out a random 10, and I'm almost positive that at least 7 out of the 10 will be people just like this, because that's what's running rampant right now. And it's not new. I hold this viewpoint because I'm somewhat well read when it comes to my community. And the very things that I just highlighted about these gentlemen here, Booker T. Washington was highlighting about people in the community in the early 1900s and the late 1800s. So these aren't new problems. And these problems aren't going to go away until we start caring. Until we start caring. And I'm not saying I have the answer right now. Calling it out is definitely one part. But we got to do more than that. We have to figure out how can we help each other be better at verifying information, because it is costing us all dearly. It's costing all of us. All right, so I think that's all I'm gonna say for now. This one is about as long as I thought it did. I'm reaching for my mouse because I had it on the other couch. I'm in a different setup. But thank y'all for hanging out with me. I hope I've said something that maybe gives you something to think about, something to chew on. I hope I didn't piss you off too bad. And if I did, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, consider joining our community, and consider volunteering in our community, and check out the merch. You like how I did that? That was nice. If I pissed you off, like the channel, leave a comment, share this video. And if I didn't piss you off, do the same, right? For all the more reason. I love you all. Thank you so much for putting up with me. Until next time, keep rising.